Welcome to my view of the market. Today is Tuesday, November 4th. You're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which was down, I don't know, it was more than 500 points at some point, 486 points, over 2%, 5% above the 50-day average volume. Volume's been pretty strong, since the middle of September here. But anyway, it just pulled back a little bit. If you go from the high last week of 24, was it 019, something like that? 24019 to the trough today, peak to trough 23,333. That's a 3% pullback. It's still above the 21. We close a tick above the 21, 0.7%, 3.4% above the 50. And to me, I'm a little more comfortable, above the 21 and closer to the 21 than I am when it's way up here that we saw the high. And typically when you see a high, there's going to be selling around a high. So a pullback around a high is pretty common because people are going to take profits, right? And we've constantly seen it on during this rally. That was on October 30th. So that was last Thursday where are we at here? Made the high. Come on. There it is. Last Wednesday, where it made the high. So from Wednesday to Tuesday, it's 3% correction and still, it's still above the 21. So we're fine for now. The selling was a little heavy there, but you could see on the when it made the high on the 29th, it was 7% above its 50. If I could zoom in there, you could see that. Let me see here. There you see the SMA 50, 7% above the 50. And we know when it gets that high, that's not time to buy. It's time for a pullback. And that's what it's done. 3% pullback, like I say, not a big deal. The problem I have, is the RSP hasn't done anything. This is the equal weight. And so we know that it's a very narrow, top-heavy market driven by stocks like NVIDIA, the biggest, market cap stock. And NVIDIA pulled back today. It closed below its five, 1.2% below its five. So when you have weakness in NVIDIA, you're going to have weaknesses in the index. We also saw Meta for the fourth straight session here since earnings report, just selling off. That's a little bit of a sign there. That's not a good sign at all for Meta to be behaving that way. Google, a lot better action here, just pulled back to the five. And that's what you want to see in your leading stocks. When the market sells off like it did today, more than 2%, your stock just gently pulls back to a moving average. Yeah, it was down 2%, but closed right there at the five. So Google looks good to me. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see what Meta's doing or what Microsoft is doing where it closed right there, right at its 50. It needs to giddy up and rally back above. Meta and Microsoft was sold off since their earnings reports last week. So not well received. They're spending a lot of money. Amazon had a nice move, gap higher today, just pulled back, but still well above its five. Tesla's got a lot of noise around it, pulled back to the 21 today, and that's what you want to see on a day like today. You don't want to see it down 5%, but you want to see it finding support near or around that 21-day line. And then Apple, Mag 7 one of the few that were up today, kind of bucking the trend, just hanging around the five. They had a pretty good report. What I'm thinking is going on here as earnings season evolves is that there's going to be some winners and some losers, and they're going to, throw out the junky stocks and reward those quality earnings reports. That's my feeling. That's my sense right now is they're starting to sell the junk. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I want to go through last night's earnings reports. I'm blaming today's sell-off on Palantir. This thing was down 8%. It rallied, it was below its 21, rallied back up to its 21 and closed 1.8% above its 21. And before I get to the rest of these reports, I got to say, I subscribe to like seven or eight services, right? Just to help me with mine, right? And recently I signed up for a service. I did it for a couple months. It's $400 a month. I thought it was going to be really good. And it was just a guy on there, pretty much telling everybody that we're stupid, right? but he had an interesting thing there, like a chat box where you can chat and dialogue all day on his site. I would recommend a couple stocks, and of course, he would shoot me down because he got a really big ego, and nobody knows anything but him. But I'm going to do a beta version of this kind of a chat. So during the session, if you're interested, we could just, chat on the site about certain things that we see. Because yesterday, I was watching Bloom Energy and I saw it pull back and rally up, and I thought, oh wow, energy is one area that's going to be needed, and it's going to be as these data centers build out and the AI revolution evolves, energy is going to be the number one important resource for all of us, and not just data centers, just for living a decent standard of life here. If you want to have to power your home or to power your business, we need energy, and I think Bloom's report was fantastic, so one to watch. Anyway, this chat box, I don't know. I'll do a survey to see who's interested, and I have my team run a beta version so you can kind of check it out and see if you like it. Anyway, I'm going to move on because I've chatted with my boys, the solar boys today. They're very happy with their move off of the five here. They bought that company from AMD, ZT, for about 3 billion, and it's adding some horsepower to their earnings growth. So yeah, nice report from Sanmina, well received. And the thing with them is that they raised guidance significantly. The electrical contract and manufacturing group is really strong right now. Not as strong as the data storage, but quite a few stocks in this group are doing well. This is a Fabrinet, and this one bounced off its five. Here you can see close near the low of the session here, which you don't want to see when you gap up, but still a strong day, especially with the market the way it was today. Dave had a good report, and I thought it was going to really ramp, and then it whoosh, man, did the old rug pull down to the 50. This kind of move will give you a Dramamine. Here you go at the open. I thought, okay, here goes Dave, right? It's going to go back to 300. I mean, what is it? 25 minutes into the session, it's 273. And then we're at, 65 minutes into this session, it's at 220. I mean, oh my gosh. What a move for Dave. Dave's not home. Wow. Just to pull back to the 50, this is one to watch, but that is one wicked bar. We have seen some really strange moves around earnings recently. Hims and hers, yeah, pull back to the 21. It was a decent report. It looked like it was really gonna move this morning. There you go, another okey doke, right? It's just there was a lot of selling in the Nasdaq today in the growth stocks. Those were not in favor at all. EXAS, I'm thinking that the biotech stocks might be an area of interest here that might start to finally get some love. Right now, it's a top five group, so it has been really strong. But these guys could be leaders in 2026 here. I'm definitely watching this group, EXAS. Nice response to their earnings report. You can see the blue dot here on the weekly chart. And this is just consolidating here in this stage one base. EXAS is definitely one to keep an eye on there. Yeah, nice move following their earnings report. XMTR is machinery stock. I guess you'd call it a robot. This is one that you'd call a power earnings gap. What a 29% move with that kind of volume. You definitely want to pay attention to that, especially in a tape like today. But breaking out of the base, and this is what you want to see, power through the pivot. It wasn't the highest volume ever, but it was close. All right. And yeah, it's a big move with volume, power through that $58 level. So exometry, definitely one to watch. All right. AUPH, another drug stock here, medical biotech, breaking out of this base here, 1354. Yeah, what's in the box? Yeah, well, not Aurinia Pharmaceuticals. This one I used to trade a long time ago. Yeah, maybe back in 16, 17. It was really a Momo stock. Maybe it wants to get its mojo back. That looks pretty good. Although it did close in the bottom half of its daily range. We won't hold that against us. In a tape like today, man, today was a really tough tape. Madrigal Pharmaceuticals, another leading biotech name, up nearly 8% today following its earnings report. And energy name, gotta watch these energy plays, man. Energy is going to be important. This one was going to rally today. It did a reverse as the market kind of sold off into the close. Yeah, still up on the session, but yeah, it was 113.25 and just did a reverse. Ooh, man, that's pretty rough. I think I'll go to a 5 minute chart. Yeah, rallied up and then sold off into the close, which a lot of things did. I should show the Nasdaq here because the Nasdaq here at the end, like, whoop, it was just trying to I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of Wall Street. They kind of have these rush volume closes to panic, retails out of their stock. I don't want to own this thing going in tomorrow, and then you have a snapback rally the next day, and you feel like somebody stole your lunch money, which isn't a good feeling. All right, I'm going to get to my thesis here. For now, I'm going to try to keep an open mind. I know a lot of people own IONQ has been a great stock for the year. If I look at the comparison chart, it's up, yeah, 271%. So that's a big winner. But to me, that no sales or earnings, and it's just hype and speculation and liquidity, and there's no real juice there. There's no earnings or sales or anything to drive this thing higher. It's under the 50 now, and I believe my thesis is that some of these junk stocks are going to be sold off, and fundamentals are going to matter a little more. And as we go through these earnings report, I'm thinking that some of these earnings are going to be rewarded a little more, and there's opportunities in those earnings plays that haven't gotten any love in 2025 and haven't participated in this rally. So that's what I'm watching, and I'll get to those as we go along through the days and weeks through this earnings season. But Rigetti, another one, absolutely no sales. CEO says no sales in sight. This one's still above its 50. Incredible. It's had a big run. It's been a big winner. 3,000% in the last year. I mean, come on, think you've had your fun, and the shorts are going to have their way with this one here pretty soon. ACHR, the air taxis, this one's down to the 200 now, which is kind of where it belongs. It's got no sales, no earnings, no nothing. This one's below its 50. Looks like it's headed for its 200. So this is what I'm talking about. The speculative names. There's a lot of liquidity in the market. There's a lot of speculation, and there are a lot of hype and momentum around these names. But the fast money comes in and moves fast, and it also moves out fast. So just be aware of that. If you own these, don't fall in love with them. NNE, nano nuclear energy, another one with nothing to hang its hat on, down to the 50 now. OKLO, another one that's been a big winner for a long time, closed today below its 50. So, yeah, it's up 433% in the last year. So, sometimes you just got to say, hey, I had a good ride. It was a great stock, and it's on to the next. You don't want to ride those things down. You rode them up, you don't want to ride them down. And then the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Treasury plays, there's just too many of them. BMNR is Tom Lee. They're making fun of him. He's leaving the country because this thing's been so bad. But there's too many of these type of things. And MicroStrategy, which is a Sailor's stock that he just bought a bunch of Bitcoin and tried to use his company as like a Bitcoin trust or whatever. And this is not working out for him. This is definitely a stage 4 decline. So you got to stay away from that stuff. And this is what I'm talking about with the with some of these names in the quantum air taxis, nuclear, the Bitcoin treasury names. What was the other one? SBET was another one. Oh boy, this one's out $11. Yeah, there's just too many of this stuff going on. All right. I'm today when the market goes down, I just look for my leading stocks, stocks I own, stocks I want to own, stocks that intrigue me, stocks that are leading stocks, and where are they finding support? Where are they pulling back to? Bloom Energy is one. And this one, obviously, it's not in a base. So I don't think it's going to base, but it's probably going to pull back to moving average. Today it was the 5. Sure, it could come down to the 10 or the 21. Who knows? This is you got to wait and see. But what you don't want to do, fools rush in. You don't want to rush in the first time it sells off, right? I mean, because you could see, you see here it sold off and people bought the bounce and whoop, now we're underwater, right? So just give it some time, let it settle down. I have no idea where this thing's going to find support. You got to respect the selling. You don't know how long the selling is going to last or how low these can go. So, be patient. You might get a better price. And, don't be rushing into these things. Broadcom's another one. I like just pull back to the 21 today, and it closed a little bit below the 21, I believe. So I'm looking for support here for Broadcom at 355. It's a tick below it. We'll see. Vertiv is another one. There's data center. The data centers, the construction of the data centers, the build out of the data centers, the hardware that goes in, the energy that drives it, all those are going to be, long-term winners and have good, strong sales and earnings growth, but they're not going to go up every day, and they're going to, pull back. And so you got to find out where they're going to pull back. This is Vertiv, very strong company, good results, strong fundamentals. Just pulled back to its 21 today at the 179.37 and closed right just a tick above it. But this is the kind of stuff that I'm watching. STX, strong earnings report, nice response to the earnings report, and I just pulled back to the 5 today. And I'm kind of liking this little consolidation pattern here. These guys have not given you much of a chance to get in since when? Since we got liberated, right? It's been straight up. And so now it's kind of doing this little base type of thing, and it wants to pull back, form a little wedge action or a handle. I'm all for it. So this is one that I'm definitely watching. WDC, same thing, kind of that 130, you call it 138 level. Broke out of that base here, and if it wants to pull back, I'm for it. Today it just had an inside day. That looks like a blip on the radar, a little, 3.7% move. But yeah, maybe it'll pull back tomorrow and bounce. Who knows? You got to wait for the bounce, though. Don't be the first one in jumping in there like a cowboy. We don't want to do that. Okay, SanDisk is another one. The problem with SanDisk, though, is they report Thursday. So you don't want to be jumping in ahead of an earnings report. It continues to pull back to the 5 and find support. It's had such a run here. I've got to think that earnings report will probably be sell the news event, but no matter what they report, but I don't know. You just got to wait for the earnings and the reaction and how the market responds to their new data point. Another couple other ones that I like. I mentioned the building construction group. I like this group a lot. This is Sterling. They reported last night. It looked like it was going to rally up 419, and then Mr. Market had other ideas. There you go. There's your rally, and there's your rug pull, and then selling into the close to make everyone feel like doo doo on the way home. All right, and then Power or Quanta, no crashes. Another one that I like, just pulled back to the 21 today. So these are going to give us opportunities. And this is what you look for. And when you when you buy the dip, like everybody wants to buy it up here when it's rallying 469. Nobody wants it when it pulls back to 433. And it's just kind of the psychology of it. As momentum traders, you want to buy strength and not the weakness. So you just got to see where they find support and bounce a little bit. I did mention that I do like the biotech drug stocks here for not only the rest of this year, but into next year. I think this group has been unloved for a long time, a long, long time, and I think it might start to get some momentum. This is TERN, Turns Pharmaceutical, and this is why we pay attention to these high volume days. Highest volume ever on a Monday. It was up 70%. Today it only rallied 24%. I think we'll all take that, even though it closed at 59% of the daily range. Still, a strong day for TERN. That's day two. Day three, I expect to see it make a new high and then pull back and wait, allow the moving averages to catch up. So you don't want to be buying on day three. I don't want to. You can do whatever you like. I don't like buying on day three. I feel a little late to the party. This is Liquidia. They reported this morning, and you could see here, the sales are picking up, right? Triple digit sales growth, a lot better than expected sales early on. I mean, they just launched and the stock launched, 11% closed at 74% of the daily range. So there's a lot of these biotech stocks that are doing well. MTSR, um, they got they got an offer from Pfizer and it went up to what, $55 and kind of traded there in that little channel. And then Novo last week said, nah, I think we'll pay a little more for it. I think it was like 9 billion or something. Novo's got a lot of cash. Well, so does Pfizer. But this thing pulled back to the 5 yesterday, and today Novo, I guess, Pfizer, I guess, is going to bow out, and Novo is going to buy the thing. And it was up, it was halted, I believe, a couple times today. but up 20 something percent. Yeah, there's your halt in the morning. It was only halted once, it looks like. It just halted and rallied up all day. So it didn't open till, yeah, 25 minutes into this session. So anyway, congrats to the longs if you own that one, and congrats to Novo Nordisk. Being aggressive and buying. This is a weight loss. They're one of the kings in the weight loss category, and so they're being aggressive. So kudos to them. And then Eli Lilly, which is one that I had on the ready list this week, I took it off. It's getting a little extended, rallying. But if you look at the weekly, it's just still consolidating within a base here. This is a stage one base. You can see 63 weeks for more than a year. This thing has just been going sideways. I would even go back to here, July of 2024. So, can it make a new high? Probably. It's probably going to 1,000 at some point. They just reported last week, strong quarter, and now the stock's being rewarded. You can see it pulled back to the 21 and bounce. So nice day for Eli Lilly. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. If we have another day tomorrow like we did today, just watch for your stocks to find support and bounce, and then we can buy the bounce. We don't want to buy the dip because you buy the dip and it keeps on dipping, then you feel like a dip, and we don't want to feel like a dip. So that's not a good feeling. So wait for the bounce. And wait till the institutions start, plugging away like you see here with Eli Lilly. These big blue bars are telling that institutions are buying this stock. Okay, in honor of the great Steve Jobs, I have one more thing. Tonight, we saw earnings reports from AMD, just a really super strong quarter, beat estimates top and bottom line. They raised forward guidance. Oh shoot, I should have bought it at 243. It's already back up to 247. Um, the gaming was surprised. They surprised on the gaming side. I think it was 1.3 billion. And of course, the PCs, that was the tell. Sanmina was the tell also. Remember, Sanmina bought a company from AMD, a data center company, and that's what's fueling growth for them. So they're kind of partners now. And as Sanmina reports before AMD, that could be a tell. But we also heard from Intel and IBM and Microsoft and Apple that the PC market is in a rebound. And this is probably just sell the news. It's had a big move up, pulled back. Today it was down 3.7%. The high was what, 267 last Wednesday. A pullback to 247. And I don't know. That might be it. I got to think with that report tonight that it's going higher, but we'll see. We'll see what Lisa Su has to say on the conference call and how bullish she is and how she can persuade some of the investors. ALAB is the other one that I was watching tonight. Oh my goodness. Oh, ALAB down 7%. They had a really strong quarter. They crushed it. I mean, the triple digit sales and earnings growth. I don't know what they're saying on the conference call, but whatever it is, it wasn't good because it was up to like 198. It was approaching 200, now down to 165 after hours. So we'll have to see what they said on the conference call. There's quite a few stocks getting smashed after hours. SMCI, data center hardware name, down 10%. ANET was down quite a bit, yeah, 11%. I don't know what they had to say on their calls. AXON, this is the security company, down 20%. So big haircuts with some of these companies tonight, which is not good. Pinterest, big haircut. CAVA kind of like said the same thing that Chipotle did without all the excuses. They just said, the consumer's slowing a little bit and they're trying to make adjustments, which means, firing people or, cutting corners because they don't have they don't have the foot traffic that they had, or so they're not going to have the same type of sales. So, and you know what happens when one of these reports, Chipotle, Cava, stuff like Dutch Bros gets hit, which is a completely different type of market. And I think they're going to report tomorrow, and I think they're going to crush it, just based on what I've witnessed. Anyway, tomorrow morning we're going to hear from Novo Nordisk. Once again, the new CEO, they sandbag guidance. They have, they removed like 6 board members. All the options changed so that there's quite a bit of interest here in Novo for a, implied move of probably around 10% tomorrow, which is what, $5 maybe back up to 53, 54. We'll see. They have to report a good quarter and say good things, even though it's not helping ALAB. McDonald's reports in the morning. Once again, the restaurant business, slower consumer. I'm not expecting a lot from McDonald's. Kamiko, it's been up a lot, expensive stock, now pulling back a little bit. Yeah, it's a 42 billion market cap with about 3 billion in sales. So yeah, for a miner, that's super expensive. Humana. So we have a medical healthcare stock reporting tomorrow. We'll see what they have to say. And then we have a couple of software names. Unity Software reports in the morning, and DigitalOcean, which had a promising IPO, but just has not been able to. It just hasn't been able to break out. You can see this is just like 4 years of going sideways for DigitalOcean. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.